Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Dissecting Dandy, where I'll talk about examining games. Games are made of many parts. Understanding how these parts change the player's experience is vital information for any game designer. Enemies provide a starting point for interaction between the player and the game. They give the player an immediate reason to interact with the game and can reinforce the narrative. Health bars put a hard limit on how many times the player is punished before they fail. This creates tension and a great learning environment if the fail state's handled correctly. Levels provide a sense of progression. They give a hard numerical value to where you are in the game and how close you are to completing a goal. These are all game mechanics we see over and over again, but they're only useful if we look at them the right way. It's important as a game designer to look at the result of these design solutions rather than the solutions themselves, because the results are the experiences those solutions create. Games don't need enemies, they need a call for interaction. They don't need a health bar, they need tension. They don't need levels, they need progression. No matter what your starting point is, if you look to game tropes for inspiration, first figure out what experience those tropes create and whether that's truly the best way to implement that experience into your game. With Dandy, I wanted to create a sense of progression. I thought long and hard about it. I had a large reference library to draw from since most games implement some sense of progression. Score, avatar changes, narrative, power increase, levels, these were all options. Having the 2008 Flash version of Dandy as a reference point helped me find a solution. Why did progression in that game feel like it was barely there? The main culprit was the looping background. Identifying the background as what was hindering the game from conveying progression gave me something tangible to fix. So obviously, the background couldn't loop in the new game. It needed to feel as if you were truly traversing a world. That informed my background artwork and gave our team a new set of objectives to work on. We could also confidently implement the new backgrounds with mechanics directly tied to the player's progression. The new background defined an implied goal for the player: keep moving to the right without dying. I used this implied goal to punish the player's failure by undoing their progress visually. When the player dies, the background scrolls back to the beginning to give the player a real sense of what they've lost. The second reason that progression felt like it was barely there in the original Dandy was the random repeating waves of enemies. Unlike the original Dandy, where enemy encounters are optional and haphazard, I wanted each and every enemy to serve as an obstacle to the player's goal. And since the player's goal is to move to the right, the enemies should serve to stop them. I reinforced this idea by making the background slow down until the players cleared every enemy. If they can clear the enemies quickly, then their progression continues uninterrupted, informing the player that they're doing well. There's a lot of iteration and discovery that goes into our conclusions that I leave out of these dissections. The design process is never a leap from one solution to the other, but the goals I've set guide that iteration and allow me to stop when I find a solution that aligns with those goals. As game designers, we have the tropes of gaming burned into our minds, but those tropes are vestiges of a designer's intent. We should consider them carefully and apply them only when they're truly the best solution. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.